good morning. We are still in November. Don't ask me what day it is. I'm just completely lost for days at the moment. The reason I'm doing this live is basically because my phone is full, and it means having to go out yet again to buy another external hard drive in order to store any relevant information and data that I have now been finally given after 5 weeks of contacting the Nuneaton and Bedford Borough Council to find out what is going on with the house I'm renting. So basically, in a nutshell, I was served a Section 21 in October of 2025. I do not, and I still will stand by this, do not believe that Section 21 is legal. But trying to prove that it isn't legal is the battle that I'm now faced with. So not only am I dubious as to whether or not the Section 21 that I've been served is legal, which then means that I have no choice but to leave the property, and I have now been officially made homeless by Northern Homes, who is the company I rent off. So for the past 5 weeks, hello, nice to meet you, I have been trying to find out whether my Section 21 is valid with the help and support of 3P, who support people who are in need of housing support and guidance. They will help you if they can, but their waiting list is really long. I was very lucky to get on it when I did. The Nuneaton and Bedford Borough Council have a care and duty to anyone who lives within the borough. And I did get put in contact with what they call their homeless prevention team. However, in 2012, that never happened. I was not given any help or support from the Nuneaton and Bedford Borough Council. There may have been a number of reasons as to why that happened, but, I'm not going to dwell on that now. I'm focusing on the here and now. So now in 2025, I have been in contact with the homeless prevention team. I have been painstakingly trying to work and liaison with them for the past 5 weeks, and I might as well have just banged my head up a brick wall. It has just been conflicting information after information. They will not give you anything in writing. They will not support you if you do become homeless. If you're in arrears, again, they never told me this. I found this out from my support worker. They will not house you if you have savings. That's right, savings. So on one hand, they're telling you if you become homeless, but it's not your fault, you should then, in theory, have enough money in your bank to support yourself in order to be rehoused. So in order for me to realistically be rehoused, if I was lucky enough to be rehoused in the private housing sector, hi, I'm sorry, I don't know how to comment on my phone. So I'm not ignoring you, it's just it won't let me comment on my phone. It will only let me do it if I'm on my laptop, which I don't have anymore. Then they're basically telling you can support yourself. But for you to rent in the private housing sector, you've got to be able to have an income of £3,000 a month now. Yeah, I'm not joking. Hi, nice to meet you. Sorry, I can't comment. £3,000 a month to rent in the private housing sector is what you need to have coming in. You not only that, you'll have to do like credit checks. You then have to pay a deposit or a bond, and then you have to be able to pay at least a month or 2 months rent up front. Yeah, so safe argument's sake, for me to rent in the private housing sector, I would realistically need about £6,000 in my bank account. Okay, 6,000 is the amount of money that you legally are allowed to have in your bank account as savings within the UK now. It used to be 16. Now, it still is 16. However, if you have more than 6, hi, sorry, I can't comment, then any money you have over 6,000, the government will try and take away from you. So at the moment, I don't have 6,000 in my account. I don't have any money in my account. At the moment, it is almost zero. I have enough money in there from the Department of Work and Pensions to pay the rent on the property that I'm currently in. And then once that money is gone, that is it. My bank account will say zero. But what they are telling me is if I leave the property on the 9th of December, I'm intentionally making myself homeless, and therefore they have no obligation to support me or my children. So on one hand, they're telling me, yes, leave the property, we'll support you, providing you're not in arrears and you've got no money. Next minute, they're saying, however, if we believe you've intentionally made yourself homeless, we will not support you. And if somebody comes into the council house who is in a worse state or piss poor condition than you, they'll get first priority, which, is fair enough. It's a bit like, when a ship is sinking, women and children first, men, fuck you, we don't care if you die. Women and children first in the life raft. And I fully support that. What I'm not supporting is the fact that they have not looked at my case properly, and they are saying that I can be homeless with a severely disabled child. Now, my child isn't physically disabled, okay, which is probably a godsend, but mentally he is. He is a risk to himself. He's a risk to the general public. He is sometimes even a risk to me, and I'm his mom. And they're saying, oh, don't worry, we'll just get social services to take him away. Well, how many parents in their right mind would even consider going to their local council, telling them they're homeless, if the first thing they think is going to happen is that their children are going to be taken off them and they're just going to be told, go and sleep in a bush and go and shit in a hedge because we don't care. And that's basically the attitude of Nuneaton and Bedworth Borough Council, in my opinion, with the way that they have treated me yet again. And it's not just me. There's loads and loads and loads of people out there at the moment who are being deliberately Section 21'd by their landlords because they want to Section 1 you before it becomes illegal to do so. So I've basically been fucked big time by the council, by private housing, within the council, the homeless prevention team, in my opinion, and of course, environmental health. You're told if your landlord does not maintain the property that you're renting, whether it's private or council or housing association, you can then report them. I did this, just like anyone with half a brain probably would have. And they have had the audacity to turn around and say, we do not believe that any of the reasons that you contacted us were life-threatening. Therefore, we have not put in the necessary paperwork, which would then warrant that if your landlord then Section 21'd you the moment we closed your case, which they did without even notifying me, that you would then be classed as not intentionally homeless and your landlord wouldn't have a leg to stand on. I'm sorry, but how is your boiler that you are renting a property off that hasn't been serviced for 2 years not classed as life-threatening? How is water pissing through the bloody ceiling for 9 years solid because your landlord can't even be bothered to fix the gutter in, which has then caused roofs to cave in, walls to fall down, tiles to fall off walls, rendering to fall off walls, internal and external cracks and structural damage, black mold, burst pipes, no central heating for 8 weeks, no kitchen for 2 months. Okay, I'm not saying not having a kitchen is life-threatening, all right? There's this thing, it's called Just Eat, and for the past year, if not longer, all I do is I order in food for my children because I cannot use the kitchen because it's not safe. And yet environmental health have turned around and said that the house was safe. And because they said the house was safe, they are basically saying that my landlord has not Section 21 me in retaliation of me phoning up environmental health, even though my boiler, when it finally come to be checked, wasn't even installed correctly. So for 2 years, I have lived in a private rented house, contacted environmental health to get my boiler serviced, to be told that it wasn't even installed correctly in the first place. So anyway, that's my rant over for today. Thank you if you have checked in. But if you're in the same situation as me, where you believe that you've been sectioned 21 and it's illegal, it is a fucking minefield to deal with. I have phoned up every single law firm in Nuneaton and Bedworth. Nobody will support me. No one will represent me. They haven't even asked me if I've got money to pay for their services. The moment I say, hi, I've been section 21, I don't believe it's legal, can you support me? They have basically said, no, sorry, that is not what we help you with. So now, once again, I am going to be homeless, penniless, and jobless with children. And I think somebody just asked me, are you just on benefits? Well, that's really none of your business. And I'm not even going to entertain that question with a response, because that's none of your business. Section 21s are affecting so many people out there. It doesn't matter who you are or what you do or where you live. And the reason why this is happening, again, I just want to stress, is because they are trying to make it illegal for sections 21s to be enforced by landlords, because there is such an increase in homelessness within the UK and people needing support with housing, that one of the ways they're trying to support people, I guess, in a way, is by saying, if you are with a landlord, whether it's private or not private, they will no longer be able to use a no-fault eviction in order to kick you out of the property. And in my opinion, my landlord has no reasons whatsoever to make me homeless. I have never missed a rent payment. I have maintained this property in 101 ways more than what they've done. And the only thing I needed them to do this year was service my boiler and fix the guttering. Everything else I probably could have lived with. But until those two things had been done, it was making the house unsafe. And out of those two things, the only thing that's been done is the boiler. But even then, I'm still not 100% sure that it's safe. I'm not a plumber. All I know is it is an absolute joke that the moment I contact Environmental Health to say my boiler needs servicing, my landlord will not service it, and the moment it gets serviced, I get served a Section 21. And I don't want to say that if I knew that was going to happen, I never would have had my boiler serviced, because that is just stupid. Okay. Not having a vital component like that in your house not serviced is life-threatening. Okay, there was properties recently in Nuneaton that, because their boilers were not working correctly, caused an explosion. And I'm talking a gas explosion. It didn't just take out that one property, it took out the entire street almost. There have been houses in Nuneaton that have set on fire. And luckily, everybody was at work when it happened. And they come home to find, after working probably like an 18-hour shift, that they're homeless. And then it comes out in the woodwork that, the reason this happened was because the landlord basically told the tenant, I'm not going to service the boiler, and if you're trying to contact Environmental Health, we're going to kick you out. So not only has the poor bastard been made homeless, the landlord doesn't have a property anymore. And you watch them be able to claim off their insurance, even though it was their negligence in the first place. Anyway, I'm going to end it there. But I'm just saying, if you are struggling with Section 21s or anything to do with your landlord, the best support you will probably get is from Shelter. Go on their website, because that is the website that your council will use, that any housing support team that you are put in contact with will use. It is the same team that also Citizens Advice will use. I have been in a Citizens Advice office, and all they've done is go online and quote everything that is on the Shelter website. I've even had solicitors have the audacity to try and charge me like 500 quid an hour, and all they've done is the exact same thing. They've gone, well, according to Shelter, if you go on their website, I don't need to pay you 500 fucking pounds to read something that is readily available to the general public, thank you. So be safe, be well, take care of you, take care of your loved ones, And if you are in the same situation as me, I'm just so pissed off, because nobody should ever be put in this situation. Okay. And it is not fair that people are being subjected to being forced to be homeless, and there is little or no support out there to help them. So good luck with the rest of your day. And like I said, I'm not able to comment. And usually when I do a live post, I tend not to comment anyway. So take care of you, and all the best. Thank you. Now I have the tricky part of trying to figure out how to end my video.